Okay, we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to No Nonsense Whisky. My name is Vin PF, as usual, coming to you for another live session. Today, I've got two very special guests with me. These aren't whiskey tubers, these are whiskey podcasters. This is Stu and Andy from This Is My Dram. Do you want to say hello, guys?
Hey.
Hello. So
hello, everybody.
Yeah, that's Andy there. And Stu, if you want to say hello, so people can see you.
Hello, how you doing?
That's Stu. They're in two separate locations. Unfortunately, they used to live quite close to each other, but now they're in two separate locations. So we're going for a bit of a three-way. This is one of the first times I've done that. So hopefully this goes smoothly.
I'm not making any innuendo comments there. So.
We're on our best behaviour.
This is the problem, Vin. You've put us live. Why have you done it? You know, this is bound to go wrong.
This is exactly why I wanted to do it. So these are podcasters. Really good podcasters. They make a whiskey and music podcast where they pick a dram and they pick a theme and they pick like 6 songs and play music throughout the podcast. Really good stuff, but it's really nicely polished and edited, and I love that. But I wanted to get them doing a bit of a live thing with me so that we can see the kind of process about like the stuff they cut out, really, basically.
Watch us make a fool of ourselves. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we carry on with that, let's say hello to a few people that have dropped in. Daniel Brown, he's unfortunately can't stay, but he's a good fan of mine. So cheers for stopping by for this, Daniel. Hopefully you'll catch it back. Don Biard's here. Thank you very much for joining. Daniel Hopper. Daniel Hopper, I think he's a guy of yours, isn't he?
Yes. Oh, so Daniel's joined. So I think shout out to Dan because he's I think it must be about 6 in the morning for him.
Yeah, it's an early one.
Is it because he's over in Australia? Hi, Dan.
Epic. That's absolutely brilliant. I love stuff like that because it's just so far-reaching. We've got Kilted Moose in. Brilliant to see you. Whiskey Wolf, formerly known as Ebhead, one of my Norwegian contingent. Dwayne Large is in. He's one of my patrons. Absolutely brilliant to see you, buddy. Aidan Bertie's in. The anticipation is killing me, he says. I know that might be pushing it a bit far.
I would lower your expectations quite significantly.
They've seen me live as well, so they shouldn't have expectations really. But
Aidan's just down the road from us. Actually, we're based in Newcastle upon Tyne. He's in South Shields, so he could just pop in. He could pop over for
exactly.
Yeah, we can get to you within the hour. You might be able to stand in the background or something.
Exactly.
He could be outside the window there, just like
just a face. Excellent. We've got also Lee Cope's in. Christopher Malloy's in. Kilted Moose said he had the pleasure of meeting you two at the Newcastle Whisky Festival last year.
Yeah,
so did, yeah.
Good guy. He picked a song for the podcast, and I think he picked The Cures, which is always going to go down well. So yeah.
Excellent. Gohab's is in. He's from Canada. That's awesome. Christine Deems here, also Oregon. Excellent. And castmate, he says evening NNW Vin. And Don Biard says he met me in Bristol. I do remember, Dom. Excellent to see you, and it was good to shake your hand, buddy, as well. So I think that's it for now for people that are dropping in. I might say hello to a few people as we carry on. But I gave you a quick intro. But why don't you guys really tell us what you do and why you do it?
Yeah, so basically, we do whiskey music podcasting. We know each other basically because we were in a band together a long time ago, and we realised we weren't playing music anymore. So we decided that why don't we do something else together? And we both found a love of whiskey together. So we thought, can we combine our two loves and do whiskey and music? And since then, we've been putting out a podcast on a pretty irregular basis, probably, for the past 2 years or so. And yes, Andy, how about you say something? Stop me rambling.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that there's that, but Stu is also an incredibly hard man to be sober in the company of. So, so that was also a big driving factor behind it. But no, I think we just we'd sort of been looking at a few blogs that were pairing food with whiskey and that kind of thing, and we just thought, well, you know, we're no experts in food, we're no experts in whiskey either, but we know a bit about music, so we thought we'd jam those two things together and have a bit of fun with it. And people have been very kind going on that journey along with us as we've kind of found our way. So that's been great.
And who doesn't like listening to a bit of music whilst you're out settling down with a dram? So that was the idea. And I think on our podcast, what we try and do is introduce people to perhaps some music they haven't heard before as well. So we don't try and go for always the obvious choices when we're picking music for the podcast. So yeah, good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we did the theme for this one, you gave me the theme, and I mean, I'm not that musically minded. I like what I like, and I like a lot of music, but I don't tend to pick up on things that aren't mainstream, because that's not what gets to my ears. You know, I listen to a lot of radio in the car, and I listen to what happens, like, you know, if someone says something on Facebook or whatever. So I never listen to anything that people aren't talking about, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I had to pick something fairly mainstream in the end, but hopefully that doesn't detract from it too much.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, we've picked a theme for this one, which is because we're doing the Arran 18. There's the great story with the Arran 18 where, well, with the Arran distillery, where it got the building of the distillery got delayed by 2 nesting golden eagles on the island. So we thought, let's go for a golden eagle themed playlist. So yeah, that was the idea. So we'll get your choice for the playlist later, Vin. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so the Arran 18 is what we're covering today, which is a strange one for me for a live stream, because usually we'll do like 6, maybe do like a little tasting or something like that. Like I actually meant to have done this recently, but I didn't actually get around to it. So I've got the 35th anniversary Scotch Malt Whisky Society tasting that I meant to be live streaming that I haven't done yet. So yeah, it's going to be good to go really in depth into a dram, I think, because I don't usually do that sort of thing. And I like that you guys do that. You know, you just pick like 1 or 2 drams, or maybe a distillery, and have one expression and just really go to town on it. And that's one of the things that I really like that you do. It's like a mini radio show almost, isn't it, really?
Mm. Yeah, I think if we did more than 1 dram, it would go on. It already goes on long enough, our podcast. So we try and just do 1 or 2. Yeah, but that's the idea, kind of make it a bit more like a radio show, broken up with music. So yeah, so any of the guys who are chatting to us at the moment, loads of good chat going on. If you haven't listened to our podcast, give it a go. Maybe don't listen to the early episodes, but yeah, give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing I'll be the take home from anyone who watches this, either now or on the replay. You guys are one of my favourite podcasts. I only actually listen to 2 whiskey podcasts, and that's you and the Bourbon Gents. Not because I don't like any of the others, but I really don't have much time to listen to podcasts. So I've picked my favourite 2, and that's you and them.
That's very kind.
They've unfortunately stopped podcasting. We should do a campaign to get them back podcasting again.
Yeah, exactly. So really, like, well, the only like live one, I guess, then is you then. So but that's it, because I really don't have much time. It's only in the car and maybe walking around at lunchtime. So, but yeah, I think everybody in the chat should go and check them out. You do like seasons, so you have like off periods, don't you? And then you come back and go for it.
Yeah, that's just because we're lazy and we want time off every now and then. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that's important, because it must take a lot of effort to do what you do. I do minimal editing, but mine are only 5 or 10 minute episodes. And I bookend them and cut out the ums and ahs and mistakes, and out it goes. But I guess that's what you have to do when you do 2 a week, like. So
yeah.
Yeah, yours are an hour long. You've been putting out 1 a week recently, but that's not always been the case, has it? It's been sort of as and when, I guess.
Usually we aim for about once every 2 weeks, but occasionally we don't quite manage it. But yeah. We've got a few more people join us on the chat, actually. I've just seen Jason. Hi, Jason. I met him on one of our previous live streams, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Hi, Jason.
Which Jason's that? Jason Whiskey Wise?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's still got his little spanner next to his name on here, because he's been a moderator of mine for a long time. I don't even tell him that he's still on there, so he'll be moderating. We've also got a couple of other drop-ins as well. Macallan Fine and Rare, he's in. Scotch for Dummies, they've come in. They're actually on their way down to see Scotch Test Dummies, who are celebrating their 5 years on YouTube soon.
Okay.
Awesome. I think is it today? You guys won't know, I don't think. But yeah, and Stephen A is in as well. Forgot this was going today. Glad I made it. I'm glad you made it too, Stephen. Yes. Who else is in as well? I think I saw a couple of others. Colourless Blue Things is in.
We've got a bring back the Bourbon Gents hashtag.
Like it. Good hashtag already.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. Yeah, make it happen.
I don't think any of them are on here, so we're going to have to... I don't think I've seen either of the Bourbon Gents on here, so we'll have to tweet them afterwards and tell them that there was much demand for them to come back.
Absolutely.
So, Vin, are you up for the challenge of doing our listener bit that we've been doing for our last couple of episodes, where we grill a couple of our collaborators / listeners to see what kind of their favourite things are, favourite whiskies and stuff are.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been listening to your podcast, so I know the kind of general first 3 questions. The quick fire bit, we'll see. But yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
I think we should do the listener bit, and I'll ask you the standard questions, and then I think we should throw it out to the watchers and see if they've got any other listener bit questions that they would have for either you or us. So let's give it a go. But yeah, so our listener bit. For those who haven't listened to our podcast, there's a very offensive version of the Neighbours theme tune that I'm sure Australians are very offended by. Dan Hopper can actually probably give us a shout as to whether
tell us just how offensive it is.
Yeah, whether he's actually stopped listening because it's too offensive. But, I try a terrible Australian accent; it fails miserably. But yeah, so yeah, we'll have our listener bit. So Vin, ready for the grilling? Here we go. What is your favourite whiskey on your shelf at the moment?
So right now I've got a Highland Park 21, and nothing I've got beats it. To be honest, right now it's I got it really cheap. I got it for £100 maybe a year ago, and I only get it out at special occasions. But it's by far the best dram I've got. But I can't possibly recommend it for the price that it's selling for at the moment. It's insane.
How much is the 21 going for at the moment then? Because it's been
the last time I looked, it was 150, but I think that's raised now because the 18 is 120, which I got for £88 5 years ago. So mental. Great.
Wow. And you only get it out on special occasions. Whatever you do, don't ask Andy what he gets out on special occasions.
Honestly, behave yourself.
And what would be top of your Dram League table if it's not the Highland Park 21?
Yeah, so the best bottle I've ever owned is the Glenmorangie Atlanta, which was one of their private editions, the 4th, I think. And it was the first time I ever tried a whiskey and was like, before that, I was like, I like that. And this one, I tried it and was just instantly blown away. I didn't have to try half a bottle to like it. It didn't have to open up. It was just amazing right then. And that's the most money I've ever spent on a bottle as well. That was £185 when I bought it. £66 on release.
Wow.
Yeah, so it really went through the roof. And now it's worth like 350. So if I hadn't have opened it, I'd have made some money. But it was still the best thing I've ever tried.
I don't have you down as a bit of a collector, though. I think you're like us. You have to drink them, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a couple that I'm collecting. For instance, I got a Cotswolds bottle. I got one of their inaugural releases that I got signed by the CEO. That I promised him I wouldn't put on eBay, but in 20 years' time I might.
Excellent. And what is your favourite distillery and why?
Well, funny enough, that leads me on to that. I mean, there's a lot of amazing distilleries out there, but my nearest distillery is the Cotswolds distillery. And it's probably my favourite one because it's the one I've been to the most and the one I can get to. It's only 45 minutes away from me. So I'm actually criminally underexperienced on Scotch distilleries. I haven't been to many at all, which is a really bad thing to say. But yeah, the Cotswolds distillery is absolutely beautiful. And they're making amazing stuff right now. And I think everyone should go there if they can. But I'd say that's my favourite one at the moment. Nice. It's always good to have a good nearby distillery, isn't it? So okay, quick fire questions. You ready? Let's do it. Here we go. So sherried or peated? Peated now. I can't believe I'm saying that. Changed your ways, Vin. You've changed your ways. Yeah. Scotch or bourbon? Bourbon, actually. I'm big into my bourbon at the moment. Wow. Cask strength or age statement? Cask strength all the way. I don't mind age statements, but I'm not bothered by them either. So you'll have a good non-age statement as long as it's got a good cask strength on it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For our podcast, then the science bit or the Dram League table? Oh, the science bit always. It's always going to be the choice. Andy's keep putting pressure on Andy to keep doing it. No, I really like it. It's like it's all entertaining. I do like the Dram League table. But if it was like gun to head, which one would you have to lose? Then for me, I mean, we're probably going to talk about it a bit later on. But the rankings of stuff, I'm not terribly bothered by. Yeah, sure. I think it's a good discussion to have. We'll chat about that later. Highland or Islay? Islay now. Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying such a thing, but. And then a couple of music ones. Remember the 90s battles, Blur versus Oasis? Oh, that's a tough one for me. I think I err on Blur. I do like Oasis, but I could listen to Blur all day long. And going back a bit further, the Beatles or Bowie? Beatles. I'm a Beatles man, me. There you go. You survived the listener bit, Vin.
I definitely think we should see if there's any questions from anyone watching as well, though. Has anyone got anything to add to our listener bit questions?
Definitely. I mean, if guys are watching, they're on a bit of a delay, but if you want to at me, if you want me to really see it, then I'll definitely see. But there's let me just have a quick browse through to make sure we've got something. Stephen A's answering a question I asked earlier about the Scotch Test Dummies. Their party's this weekend, but I think it officially starts tomorrow, so that's cool. They got a big gathering happening over where they are in Kansas, which is awesome. I wish I could have got over there, but that's a long way to go. Oh, there's a new person in as well. I'm gonna absolutely screw your name up. Sorry, it's Karansian. Sorry if I've said that wrong. But she's new to the chat and knows Aquavite, so awesome. Thank you very much for joining.
Also says we're a friendly bunch, so that's very nice.
Just I know, yeah.
Doesn't know us well enough, I think.
No, I think we're the best of us on the show, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've just seen Dan Hoper's response as well about the theme tune. He says it's just offensive enough, made me laugh and my wife cringe. Perfect. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, the theme tune is. It took me a while to realise actually, because I haven't watched Neighbours since I was a child. And then when it did the and I was just like, oh, this sounds a little bit familiar. I liked it.
Okay. Oh, is that Caskmate? Is that a?
Yeah, asking independent bottlers or official bottling.
Oh, that's a really good question.
See, until recently, I was big on my official bottlings. I had to have core range. And I find, especially on YouTube, people aren't searching for independent bottlers, so they don't make the best videos, but they make the best whiskey by a long shot. Like I just covered a Chieftain's Dalmore 19 years, completely uncoloured, completely unchill filtered, and finished in rum casks, and it's just incredible whiskey.
Yeah. I think when it comes to value for money, it's the way to go as well.
Yeah, we're big fans of that boutique company. We're big fans of Gordon and MacPhail. So yeah, we've got lots of good drams from them in the past, haven't we, Andy?
Yeah, definitely. Something like I think the Bunnahabhain 2009 is probably still one of our favourite Gordon MacPhail expressions, which
it was incredible.
That was it wasn't even all that expensive, really, was it?
No, I think 50-60 quid that one. Yeah, it's brilliant.
We're going to get another question from Aidan. He says, given I'm into bourbon right now, what's your favourite open bottle? I have a lot of open bottles. Just looking around, see what I've got around me. I think I'm a man of simple taste, so I think probably Woodford Reserve is one of my favourites at the moment. I don't have anything really special for bourbon. I just have what I can get in the supermarkets. I don't know about you guys. Do you drink any bourbon at all, either of you?
Yeah, I mean we're definitely Scotch at heart, but we've had a few bourbons in the past. I'm a big fan of the Four Roses single barrel that we did on the podcast. It's gorgeous. And Aidan's been sending me a few bourbons. Aidan's been who's on the chat. He's been trying to get me into some bourbons, and he sent me and Andy a couple of bourbons recently, and one was 100% rye, which was a new experience for me, so that was interesting.
Yeah, both very nice. I think the Wild Turkey 101 is quite good as well for something that's relatively available.
Yeah, I mean it's so cheap that you can just, it's like £23 when it's on deal. You can't beat that sort of value for the 101. But in the Wild Turkey range, I think the Rare Breed's my favourite. It's
very nice. Yeah,
amazing.
We did that way back. I think when we had Bourbon Gents on with us, I think we were doing Bullet bourbon, but we did the Wild Turkey Rare Breed as well, and it was
really nice.
It was the first bourbon I've tried where I was like, oh right, so maybe there's something a bit more interesting in this line of whiskey than I'd previously thought. So yeah.
Yeah, and since then we've got a bit more into the bourbons, haven't we? It's been really enjoyable. So.
Yeah. As well, Dom's asking, he's a big fan of Glendronach. Just tried the peated portwood finish. Anybody else tried it? I haven't. I've been
not yet.
Away from Glendronach for a while. Actually, I should get back to them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a podcast on them very soon. I'm a big fan of the 18 and the 21. So yeah.
I am planning a blog at some point looking at port finish whiskies, as many as I can drink. So yeah, I'll maybe try and include that one.
Awesome. Just another quick shout out to my pal John Hawkins. He's not usually on my channel. He's just an old friend of mine. So I'm glad he's popped in. Good to give him a shout out. Jason Whiskey Wise asking, Scotch or world whiskey? Now, you guys have said you're both Scotch guys.
Actually, well.
But any world whiskey is a big old category.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of some of the Japanese whiskies. I went to Japan last year, visited Yoichi Distillery, Yamazaki Distillery, and some of the Japanese whiskies are up there with my faves. But I think Japan's very hit and miss, isn't it? So I think Scotch, you get much more consistency with Scotch. Although there's good Scotches, there's bad Scotches, there's good Japanese, there's bad Japanese. It totally depends, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's I mean, a lot of the Japanese stuff is modelled on Scotch. You know, a lot of their ethos was it came from Japanese guys that came over to Scotland and learnt their trade there. So it's the similarities are there, and I think it's just got a bit ridiculous with their marketing and things, and they've just gone through the roof and classed themselves out of most people. One thing I've been very, very, very impressed about is Australian whiskey. At the moment, Starwood. Have you tried their New World 2-year spirit?
Not yet. No, we've tried. We did on the podcast very recently, just 2 episodes ago. We did
10th anniversary.
Yeah, 10th anniversary one.
That's right.
That was really completely took me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect, and it was really nice.
Well, they've got a 2-year-old one that they obviously can't call whiskey over here. They call it whiskey in Australia because their rules are different. And I tried it at a festival this year and last year, and it just blew me away. Like what they're making in 2 years, and we're sort of complaining about whiskies that don't have an age statement on because they might have 6 to 8 years of stuff in them because we're using terrible old casks and things like that. But yeah, it's just there's no excuse for it really.
It's mad the age doesn't necessarily mean quality, does it? And actually in Australia, you know, it probably ages much quicker because of the climate there. So it's interesting to see what they're coming out with in just a couple of years. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we've got another question from classmates as well. Is this Irish or Japanese? So we're really dialing it down now.
Ooh, I think I know. Well, I would say probably Japanese, although again it's close. But Andy, being a...
and you're fully entitled to your wrong opinion on that. I think Irish whiskey. You know, we started the whole damn thing. So,
Andy, you can literally hit Bushmills with a stone from where you are, can't you? So
more or less, yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't cover a lot of Irish whiskey on the channel just because I don't get it much. But I really like what I've tried. I really like the kind of triple distilled general ethos that they have. It's nice and easy drinking stuff, and like Jameson's, for instance, is probably my absolute favorite bottom shelf whiskey. It's so cheap, but it's actually really nice as well.
I think what's really interesting about the Irish whiskey market at the minute is that there's a whole lot of dormant distilleries that haven't been in production for a long time, a bit like maybe Scotland was in the 60s or 70s when all the sort of new distilleries started opening up and stuff. And I think you know, the next 10, 15 years could be a really exciting time for Irish whiskey. I think there's a lot of new distilleries are being a lot of dormant distilleries, are being sort of reactivated at the minute. So watch this space.
Absolutely.
And I think Aidan's just mentioned the Redbreast whiskies as well.
Sure.
I think Redbreast is getting a lot of positive comments at the moment, isn't it? So
yeah, and Middleton and West Cork, and there's a lot of good ones out there.
Absolutely. I missed the super chat as well from Roy Aquavite. He says, Vin, sorry, handful full of kids. So great to see these guys live. He's talking about you guys. Doing a great job. Hey. It's a great podcast. Just paying my fan fees. But everyone should know as well that Roy's got his own live stream going on at 9:45. That's about an hour and 15 minutes away from now. So if you don't already know that for some reason, then please stick around on YouTube, watch a couple of videos, and then join his live stream after. It's always good. I'm being asked as well, have I tried the Lot 40 yet? You know, the Canadian whiskey Lot 40. Have you guys tried that?
No, I haven't got that far.
I've had so many opportunities to try it, and I've missed it because it's always at the London Festival. But every time I go to the stand, for some reason, they've got the bottle somewhere else at a tasting, or it's gone to another stand, or whatever. Honestly, I went there 3 times this year, and it wasn't there any time. So it doesn't want to be drank by me, that poor thing. But apparently it's amazing. You know, Canadian whiskey can be a bit hit and miss because they can call their whiskey whatever they want. Like they can have literally no rye in it at all, and they can call it a rye for some reason.
Interesting.
But they keep all of their amazing stuff to themselves. They make so much of it, they just keep it all to themselves. Apart from stuff like this Lot 40, which gets around. Apparently it's really good. You should have a look at it.
I'll have to check that out.
I'm just scrolling through now to see if there's any more. Well, I have got someone say, are we drinking the Arran 18? This Whiskey Wolf. He says, just open mine. What's the first impression? We probably should talk about the Arran 18, right?
Yeah, we should get onto the whiskey we're actually trying today. We've not mentioned it at all. Yeah, I mean, it's. I was lucky enough to visit the Arran distillery a couple of months ago, and it's not only is it a beautiful island, but a beautiful distillery as well. We were staying in a B&B, just literally we could walk to it in 4 minutes. So it was a stunning place, lots of stags running across the fields around it and everything. It was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, so we did the basic tour there. Really nice guy, showed us round, and we got an Arran 10 as a dram, and then they gave us, you know, their equivalent of kind of Baileys at the end as well, which is a bit disappointing. I was hoping for perhaps another expression that was a bit more exciting, but just really charming, quite a small distillery, and an absolutely lovely place. And then coming out, I then just kind of stocked up on lots of gorgeous Arran whiskies. This was the best prize I got from there, which is a private cask, distillery exclusive single cask, 11-year-old sherried whiskey from Arran, which was my trophy from there, yet to be opened. But yeah, and then some of the Arran 18 as well, which we're trying tonight. So fantastic distillery, highly recommended if you're on the islands. You've got to give it a visit, really.
And if you put your address in the comments section, Stu will send you a sample of that distillery exclusive.
Just for GDPR, I won't be recording any of those addresses.
Exactly, yeah.
And also for GDPR, I won't be sending any whiskies.
Yeah.
No, I'm always up for a dram swap.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about it, right? I mean, I know we have some rules in the UK about what we can and can't send that we can skirt under quite nicely by lying to the
Yeah, a bit of lying always goes well.
Yeah, it's definitely only 2 bottles for sure. Only there's not 6 in there. No worries.
No, it's just water. It's just a few bottles of water. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I've been sending out my shameless plug, but I've been sending out a lot of my hip flasks recently.
Lovely.
And they always ask me in the post office what I'm sending out, and I sort of say, oh, it's a hip flask, and they straight away they light up and they go, has it had anything in it? And I'm like, no, it's in its wrapper, it's fine. Because if this has even had whiskey in it and then I've emptied it out, they want to know, and they want to stick a hazardous label on it. It's absolutely mental. So I was like, no, you can open it if you want, it's just in its wrappers, don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't know what they're worried about, but I love all the swaps that go on. That's what half of my samples, you can't see it really, just a little bit. Samples I get from a subscription service, and the other half I get from swaps with friends. Very, very rarely do I get one from a distillery. Occasionally, but mostly English distilleries as well. To be fair, Scotch distilleries ignore me entirely. But yeah, so the Arran 18. This is I bought this as from Master of Malt because I didn't want you to send me the last of your little dribble that you've got. But, I'm glad that I did, because I've got a whole 3 seal here, and it's just got a fabulous nose on it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been letting it open up now for a good half an hour or so, and it's gorgeous nose, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. I always say this thing about Arran, that it's got a bit of a distinctive character that you can pick out. Like it goes across the core of the range. It's kind of like citrusy notes that come through it. But this is because it's obviously it's a lot more rounded, I think, now. Yeah,
I think so. I think any dram where I get this much kind of oak and vanilla on the nose, I'm sort of like, yeah, here we go. This is going to be my kind of thing.
A bit of rich sweetness in there as well, with the kind of caramel and brown sugar note in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the kind of, like, I always say, like Speyside has a very distinctive like orchard notes to it. And this has got that, obviously not a Speyside, but I think if I had this in a blind tasting, I'd be half tempted to label it rashly as a Speyside before I tried it.
I know what you mean by that, actually. It's quite interesting with Arran because obviously they kind of fall between the gaps of a lot of the whiskey regions, so they kind of have got to be able to produce their own thing, really go for with what they like. And it's interesting, they're opening another distillery down on the south of the island now, where they're going to produce heavily peated stuff from the Lag distillery. So that's going to be really interesting to kind of see how that progresses and see what they do with that. They were trying to sell us kind of, you know, the you can buy a cask already from there whilst we were at the distillery. And it's like, yeah, I can't afford one, but yeah, lovely idea. But yes,
I would love to do that. You know, if I was a bit further on in my YouTube career and it was making some money, then I might be tempted to roll that in and do a bottling for the people that watch.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a long way away from that yet.
Well, let's get it going. Let's get it going. Hashtag get Vin a cask.
Yeah, you know what I would do is I was offered a cask of Cotswolds for $2,500 for just I can't remember how many bottles it would have produced, something like 500 bottles, and I'd have had to pay them loads extra for like bottling and keeping it every year and things like that. But I was thinking, like, I saw recently, I think it's Highland Park was selling a quarter cask aged for 12 years already for like £12,000. So I was like, well, $2,500 doesn't seem like a lot of money, really, and I could just leave it with them for a decade, and then do some crazy bottling on it. But if I had a big old credit card, maybe, but I don't. So
there's the one that tempted me was Macmira over in Sweden.
Yeah,
they mature. They sell the private cask, but they mature them. Every warehouse is in a different location, and some of them look like kind of Bond villain lairs on the top of mountains, and some of them are like under the sea and everything like that. So they try and mature them in all these really interesting places. So
yeah, I'd definitely go and visit my cask if it was at the top of a Swedish mountain and not in some musty warehouse in the west of Scotland.
Hey, I love those musty warehouses, mate. They are great.
They are great as well.
They smell good, right?
Is what?
The warehouses, they smell good.
Oh yeah. Oh god, gotta love them. The angels share in there. But yeah, has anyone on the chat had the Arran 18 before we get stuck in it? It'd be interesting to know what people thought if they've already had it.
One guy at least who is drinking it with us right now.
Oh, great.
Very good.
And that's Rolf.
Cheers, Rolf.
Cheers, Rolf.
He says a gorgeous nose, but if he wants to drop in any more, he's just done a big tour. He's been over in Scotland recently, and it's, you know, considering he's from Norway, he's visited far more distilleries than I have in my entire life, and I'm like not even that far away. I need to go and visit up there, but to be honest with you, it's convincing the wife to let me do it and spend the money on a holiday that's just for me.
I managed to convince Danielle by saying we were going on a Scottish walking holiday. So there you go. 14 distilleries later.
I did see another question come in as well. Daniel Hoper, he says, how do you whiskey? Which I'm not sure if that's a sly comment to see if there's any Whiskey Tribe people in the group, because that's what they ask.
I like that. I like that as putting it as a verb. How do you whiskey? I whiskey every day. Yeah.
Magnificently is the correct answer for their channel, but it's like a secret code.
Often and in style.
But he's asking, besides neat, do you flavour in any other ways, ice, water, or mixers? Well, for me personally, rarely do I do anything else with it. I enjoy it most when it's neat and at room temperature, or maybe slightly higher if warmed in the hand. I don't know if anyone caught my video of the Johnny Walker White Walker recently. I got it just here. This actually recommends that you serve it from the freezer, and it is absolutely dreadful from the freezer. I mean, it's palatable at warm, and why they recommend drinking it from the freezer, I don't know.
Is that just marketing? Yeah, the winter is coming thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a bit disappointed with them.
Yeah.
There you go. Steve A has said it definitely was a How Do You Whiskey reference, and I got it because I'm an MB. They call themselves Magnificent Bastards.
Very good. Yeah.
It's definitely a little tribe. It's like 14,000 strong on Facebook now. It's insane.
I'll ask you to watch your language on our podcast, Devin. We never swear.
No. We're talking about White Walker, Johnny Walker, so it's Game of Thrones. They say that a lot.
It's allowed. Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, for me, I think I'd drink my whiskey straight in the main. I used to add a fair bit of, drops of water here and there, but now I'm so into my cask strengths. I kind of feel like if it's not cask strength, I'm almost like, oh, I need more alcohol. So yeah, but the odds, maybe the odd cocktail as well. I like an old fashioned and things like that. So maybe with a bourbon. But yeah, mainly just straight, to be honest.
Yeah.
How about you, Andy?
Yeah, more or less the same. Occasionally, I'll add a drop of water. I think, especially for something that's very, very peaty, occasionally a drop of water just to see what else is maybe lurking underneath. But yeah, generally, I'm far too stingy to water it down in any way. Really, most of the time.
There's a great book by Dave Broom who basically experimented with that, with loads of different types of whiskey. And he added water, he had them straight, he added water, he added soda water, he added Coke, and he added ginger beer. And he did it with all the whiskies, including like all the ones you would probably never go near to with Coke. And he gave an opinion on each one. I thought that was really interesting. Just experiment, see what it tastes like, which was really interesting. I think Lagavulin and Coke was the famous one that he came out with. It was actually surprisingly good. If you can bring yourself to add Coke to Lagavulin, which is like, he said it was really good. So
yeah,
so
it wasn't too bad actually, but yeah. And I think given unlimited resources, I think that is an approach I would like to take. You know, lots of experimenting, seeing the different ways that you can, you know, open it up or whatever. But yeah, generally, if I've got a good cask strength whiskey on the shelf, I'm not adding any water.
The best answers just come from Eric there. He says, sometimes I add more whiskey to my whiskey. That is my approach. I like that. That's brilliant.
Definitely. I was just about to read that out myself. And he's Eric's got a lot of good ideas. He's actually just split his channel. He used to do a wine and whiskey kind of channel. And I actually think for the better, he's split it now. So he's focusing on wine on one and whiskey on the other. So he's kind of like, you know, niching down a little bit. But he's quite heavily trained in wine and whiskey sommeliers and things like that. So he knows his whiskey and he knows his wine. And I'll take the tip of adding more whiskey to your whiskey.
Yeah, that's very, very good advice, I think.
Well, should we talking of all this tasting whiskey, shall we dive in with the Arran 18? Yeah, taste whiskey. Yeah, I have actually got some water ready just in case we could do a little bit of an experiment with water as well. So Dan Hope says he adds a few drops after trying it first to see if other flavors come through. I think that's a really good way of doing it, actually. So yeah, right. Let's dive in on the Arran 18. Slancher.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. And to anyone drinking. Following along on the chat, Slancher as well. And
the eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I've been drinking for the last 5 minutes or so while these two have been chatting away. So,
absolutely. I mean, for me, this is like. I mean, I really like Arran. I really like the 14, and I like the 10. 10's a little young for me to keep around all the time, but I really do like it. This is just absolutely amazing. It's so complex and deep. And there's just, I don't even know where to begin on it. You know, I mean, obviously it's vanilla forward.
Yeah. Lots of the richness coming through again. I'm almost getting that. I get this mainly with Lowlands whiskies, but the almost like kind of powdered sweets, kind of, you know, like sherbety sweet kind of sugariness coming through, and I'm getting a bit of that. That's lovely.
I like the sort of sweet spice that comes through. I think that's where it sort of you know, pays for itself as opposed compared to the 14-year-old. I think that those kind of there's a really nice spiced ginger kind of hit in there as well, which I think is really good.
And it is worth pointing out the cost. Actually, you mentioned kind of the cost there, Andy. This is actually £75 in most places. I don't know what that is in Canadian dollars, American dollars, Australian dollars. But £75 over here, and that is a pretty impressive price for an 18-year-old whiskey from a fairly new distillery. So, I mean, talk about value for money. I think this is a fantastic value for money dram at 18-year-old at £75.
Absolutely. I think the only other 18-year-old whiskey I can think of that's around that sort of value is like the Talisker 18 is still really good value.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like an island thing, but then again, you look at like Highland Park, we talked about that earlier. It's £120 now for for an 18-year-old, and it's an absolutely blinding dram. But I will not pay that sort of money for that. It's just so ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, this is I don't often head above sort of £50 really, but for this sort of value, 18-year whiskey, and it's non-chill filtered and natural color, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Someone here has just dropped on. It's Appy de Geese says, I could buy it for €60, but I didn't. Oh
no.
Yeah, I'm screaming inside for you, pal. That's awful. You definitely should have done that.
Well, it was originally a limited edition, wasn't it? And now they've put it as part of their core range. So and they've only been around for what's it been?
They opened or something?
Yeah, so it's been 23, 24 years now. So 18 is, that's an impressive age statement for quite a young distillery, isn't it? So very impressive.
Yeah, no, I think this is an impressive dram. I think the years in the cask have kind of been put to work on this one, and you're getting a good dram for the price. I think personally, I would probably if I had the 80 quid, I would probably get the Amarone and the port finish Arran whiskies. I really like the cask finish range, so I would probably get a bottle of each of those, to be honest. But I do think the 18 is a really cracking dram too.
Yeah, I've covered the Madeira cask on the channel before, but I haven't tried many Arrans, just the age statements. And in fact, Dom BI is asking if I like Arran. Have I tried the Marchy Moor? Honestly, no, I haven't even heard of that one. So, but obviously, definitely would try it. So I'll have to look out for it. I don't know if either of you guys have caught up with that one at all.
No. I've seen it, but I've not. Not had the chance to taste it. But yeah, would you recommend it, Dom? Interested to know.
Yeah, definitely, Dom. Let us know. One thing I was going to say about this, I said earlier about the nose being a bit space ID, but on the palate, that's when it tells me it's Arran, because it's got this kind of like you said, that sherbet, but it's got citrus, that orangey notes to it, and it's just really indicative of everything in their core range. I think a lot of it tastes that kind of across the range, and that it's just brilliant. I love that, and I know it puts some people off. I know some people aren't a big fan of that kind of citrusy note, but for me, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
and it's for me, it's a rich citrus, so I like that. It's really nice. And the finish, I'm just noticing the finish is really impressive. That is, it's dragging on. It's dragging on. That is a beautiful long finish. So
yeah, really, really big long finish.
Given that it's only 46% as well, I'm used to those kind of finishes from your cask strength whiskies where they've got the alcohol to have the power, but this one, 46%, has still got that long finish, hasn't it? Very impressive.
Dom says he's not tried it yet, but he has a bottle to open. Well, I don't want to nudge you, man, but now would be a good time. Let us know. Also, Welsh Toro, he's in. Hey, dude. He's asking what the dram is, and we're covering the Arran 18-year-old right now. So I'm assuming you've tried that because you've tried many, many, many whiskies. So let us know if you like it or not. And Currency, and she's asking if anyone's tried the Arran 20-year-old Explorers Series Volume 1 Broderick Bay. Oh, no, I have not.
No, that sounds specific. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah,
because that's got to be their oldest stuff, right? I mean, they'd have been, like we said, well, they're 24 years old, so they can't have much more like older stock than that, because their first casks would have gone into their kind of first lot of stuff, wouldn't it? They wouldn't have saved anything back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, yeah, like I said, the finish on this thing is just massive, absolutely massive. And dare I say it, a bit of chocolate in there as well. That's pushing it a bit for me, but
yeah, it's quite nice and creamy on the finish. Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm super impressed with that. I'm glad you nudged me to buy a dram of it, because, like I say, £75 is a lot of money, and I wouldn't ordinarily buy a bottle of something like that unless I tried a bit of it first. And now I have. I could feel confident in probably getting a bottle of that. So maybe not anytime soon, after Christmas, maybe.
Sure.
But certainly value for money, isn't it? Certainly value for money. Yeah. Well, usually what we do at this point is we will score the whiskey, but I know you don't score them yourself, Finn, so I thought we could have a little bit of a discussion on scoring whiskey and whether you think it's a good idea or not, because I know that there are lots of people have lots of different opinions on that. We do our Dramia League table whereby we score the nose, palate, and finish out of 10. And then so between the two of us, it adds up to 60, and therefore we've got a nice league table, which is all colourful and looks fancy. You know, for just mainly so as a record for ourselves, really, just to be able to compare our opinions. But we're totally understanding that someone else could look at it and go, "Oh, I totally disagree with that. I think this whiskey should be top," or whatever. So, you know, what I want to know why you decided not to score whiskies on your YouTube channel, and what your thoughts on scoring in general are, and also throw that out to the community as well, everyone who's watching and chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've actually got two reasons why I don't score. The first one is because I like your scoring system, for instance, but I think a lot of people's scoring system, when they score out of 100%, or out of 10, it irks me a bit, because they'll say things like, "This whiskey is really subpar," and they'll go 60%. And I was like, well, that's above average, right? You know, like, you know, 40% is a pass at university, like a really poor pass, but it's, you know, it's the bare minimum. But like,
stop judging, Vin. Come on, stop judging.
Yeah.
Some of us aren't as clever as you, Vin.
You're looking at 2 third-class degrees here, you know.
Oh yeah, I failed my first year, so I didn't even get the 40. But so I don't score for that reason, because I think like there's too many whiskies that are in the 80 to 100 bracket, and there's not enough people scoring them in between like the two. They'll give them like 1s and 2s for really dreadful stuff. Nobody's really taking the time to really classify it properly. Yeah. And the second one is I'm not confident of my own ability to be consistent over time. Because a great example is when I started this channel 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, I couldn't stand peated whiskey. And if someone would have given me one, I would have been like, oh, 1 out of 10. But now I drink it and I'm like, oh, I see past the smoke. I get all the other things that are there behind it, and I'm like, this whiskey is amazing. So if I started scoring 2 years ago, I would have to do all of that again and rescore it and explain why I'm rescoring it. So I just decided to go with I recommend it or not.
Or you could just keep going with a dodgy, fairly meaningless score table just because you wrote a theme tune for it.
Which is why we're keeping it going. No, we've said as well that we would love to go back and perhaps rescore some of them, because you know we've changed our opinions on, especially you know, a couple of that should be maybe a bit higher. But we found that we loved every whiskey that we were trying on the podcast. That's probably why we did it on the podcast, because we were like, I love this whiskey, let's do it. And then we would kind of just say great things about it. So we were thinking, well, we need to distinguish in some way the ones we really love and the ones we just think are nice and great. And then we found that everything was scoring really highly. So we did our relegation zone to kind of give some context of, we put Bullet Bourbon quite low, for example, but that made it look, but we actually really like Bullet Bourbon. So why was it, really low down? So we did our relegation zone of really bad whiskies just to get some context. But then we don't like being negative about it. Well, Andy, you love being negative about stuff, but we don't like being negative about whiskies. It's it's harsh, but yeah. So it's good fun, but it's probably just for a bit of fun more than anything, and just to give our opinions.
But you see, this is the thing. I'm habitually negative about pretty much everything, but it's quite hard to be negative about the majority of whiskies, because the majority of them are good or better. So it starts to become a little bit difficult to differentiate between. You can always pick out a few real horrors that you're going to give low scores to, but most are pretty good. So it's hard to it can be hard to differentiate at the top end of the table. That's where it becomes less useful, I think.
Can we change our scoring system to good and better, please? I really like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think what you should do maybe for a Christmas special or something is you should each pick 3 of the drams you've already covered and give them to the other person blind, and then re-rate them.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I like that.
I know it's a struggle to do blind sometimes, and we did actually. I was on your podcast. I can't remember what season it was, like 2 or 3 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we did a blind swap, didn't we? So it's difficult sometimes because you never want to say something like overly negative about something that you know and love. or in case they're watching or something. But my favourite thing about I did a blind tasting on my channel, and I said a Longmorn 15, which has been discontinued and loved by loads of people. I said it was really boring before I even knew what it was, and I was like, "Nah, this is more boring than everything else." Put it down and just forgot about it and put it second to last. And luckily, I didn't get any backlash from that. But it was just the honest truth of it. So I just did what I did.
The other thing with blind tastings is if you're doing a few in a row, it can massively affect the flavour, like of the the next one. So if you do one, and that's why you always put peated whiskey last, don't you? If you do a peated whiskey, for example, the next thing you taste is going to taste almost flavourless. So it depends how it is tricky because a whiskey can taste different every time you drink them, which is partly what I love about them. But it would be interesting to do. We do some blind ones, but we do them for our Christmas present to each other in our Christmas episode. We do that's when we do the blind ones on our podcast. I'm already looking forward to this year's Christmas present to Andy. So he's got a surprise in store.
Hopefully, won't be the same distillery this year.
It could be awful. It could be good. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Just do a quick shout out as well to Whiskey Rolf. Rolf, he's given a super chat in, and he says small contribution to the bribe the wife money before the distillery visits.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. The little money I do make off the channel, it all goes into a pot, and I don't spend it on actually even whiskey. To be honest, I spend it on improvements to the channel, like new lights and things like that. So any contribution is always welcome. Definitely above the standard AdSense from Google.
The podcast, by the way, costs us so much money and we make nothing. Hey!
Yeah, this is what I was going to say to you guys, because I know it was one of the reasons why I chose to start this instead of blogging, mainly because I'm not eloquent at all with words. So I thought, well, I can do video, I'll do that. But it makes, I think something like $20 or $30 a month. That's what I'm on about at the moment. It's not a lot, but it doesn't even remotely cover the costs of the channel, because I have editing software that I pay for, and if you count all the electricity and the Mac I bought and things like that, the costs just go. But that's not the point of it. I don't do it to make any money or even recoup or even break even. I would love to, but I do it because I like talking about it.
Yeah.
And you guys have spliced two passions together, which is even better. Because that's one thing we did talk about at the start. We would have loved to have done like a proper podcast where we did the music and everything. There's absolutely no way that YouTube would have let that happen. I would have been taken down with all kinds of strikes, I think, if I started playing music on here.
Yeah.
We're very lucky that we've now bought a license to be able to play tracks on our podcast, which is great, because I think it really goes with the concept that we were going for, the idea of listening to music whilst drinking whiskey. So if anyone hasn't listened to our podcast since series 3 especially, we've had a license, so we can play those tracks, and it's really good fun. And yeah, that kind of fulfills what we're trying to achieve, I think. And it's expensive, but as you say, we do it for the love of it. We're not doing it for money. No one really goes into podcasting for money, I don't think. Well, except for maybe, what's his name, Whiskey Cast. He must be making a fair bit. He's sponsored by Highland Park and Johnny Walker and all them. But yeah, we're certainly not sponsored. We're just doing it for the fun of it. But that brings me on to your choice, Finn. So we always have a theme for the podcast. We have a playlist theme that goes along with the whiskey. And as we said earlier on in the live stream, we have chosen to go with the Arran, a golden eagle theme, given there was a nesting golden eagle that stopped the construction of the distillery back in 1994. So what golden eagle themed song are you going to play on our podcast for our listeners, Finn?
So I took the word golden out of it and just went with the eagle part. And I've gone with it's a bit of a controversial choice, I think, because I really liked it and it was popular back in the day, but I think most people don't have fond memories of it like I do. But I've gone with Eagle Eye Cherry and Save Tonight, which is an old 90s classic, right? And it's a bit of a one-hit wonder for the poor guy. But I don't know why, because back then I was into I was starting to get into kind of metal music as a kind of early pre-teenage years. The angst was starting to come through. But this was one of the few kind of popular songs that I would actually like and pretend that I didn't like. But now when I hear it now, I'll stop and listen to it because I think, do you know what? I actually really like that song.
There you go. It's harking back. It's a nice little reminisce of the mid-90s. We actually featured a song by it's his sister, is it, Andy? Is that right?
Yeah, sister. Yeah, Nona Cherry.
Right?
Nona Cherry, yeah. So we featured a song by her on our podcast. And she's actually had an album out, a couple of albums out in the last few years, which have been really, really decent, actually. So yeah, great. Well, there you go. We'll introduce it for the podcast. I know the poor chat guys here won't be able to listen to. Well, they could perhaps put it on. They could perhaps play on it on their computers or something.
Yeah.
But if you introduce it, and then if the guys tune into our podcast, that we'll edit this together and put it out as a podcast as well. You can then hear the full song. So go on, Finn. Best DJ voice, best smashy and nicey DJ voice. Go for it.
And now is Eagle-Eyed Cherry with Save Tonight.
Excellent. Very professional.
You've done that before.
Well, yeah, just to reiterate to the guys who might have joined us halfway through as well, the podcast you guys do is you introduce these songs sporadically throughout the sort of hour and 5 to 10 minutes, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it genuinely is like a proper radio show. It's all in different segments. They've got their own little jingles for each bit, and then there's an actual song in between. And if you guys thought that it was terrible with not being able to hear the track now, go and listen to the podcast when it's out, and in fact go and listen to the ones that are already out, and you'll get that experience.
You'll find it's even more terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's very kind.
The best thing is you set the bar really low by saying that, and I'm like going in going, no, it's really high quality, because it really is. Like if you like these live streams where it's just 2 or 3 guys ad-libbing it, then you'll really love their content, because it's all quite refined. And like I said, there's the science bit we're talking about earlier. That's a kind of like a sustained segment of information, which we don't really do much on YouTube. I know Ralphie does a bit of a ramble about it, but yours is like a properly documented, written kind of piece, really, isn't it? I guess is the best way of saying it.
Yeah, it's semi-researched and everything.
Andy reads out Wikipedia and we put it over a track.
Yeah, we did toy with the idea of making you do it live, but I didn't think you'd appreciate that too much.
No, well, I don't want everyone to see how much editing has to go into making it coherent. So, but just to go back to the scoring chat, there's a couple of guys on the having a bit of a discussion about the issue of quality price ratio, which I think is really important when you're talking about scoring. That whether a 90 for a expensive whiskey and a 95 for a cheap whiskey, how do you kind of? We actually looked at this in a blog on our site with the whiskies we've done so far, and it basically showed what common sense would tell you, that there's a few terrible whiskies that are the outliers. There's a few very, very rare whiskies that are the outliers. And everything else, once you correct for the score you've given it, the subjective score and the price, they're all pretty much in the same position on the graph, I guess. So, yeah.
It's all about looking for the ones where they're great value, really. We used to say Abelard Abuna was incredible value for what it was. One of our favourite whiskies, £50 a bottle. Now that's gone up to £80 a bottle. Yeah, is it still great value? That's arguable now, which is a shame. But if you can find those really good value ones, like this Arran 18, for example, that's where you get a real win, isn't it? Where you get one that's above, the bang for its buck. And I think we did a budget series where we were trying to find those as well. What are the really cheaper whiskies that actually overperform? So I think it's really interesting to find those affordable ones.
Definitely, and you kind of hope that the distilleries don't realise it. I was exactly the same as you. People would ask me for a nice sherried whiskey. What do I suggest? And I'd go, right, go and get the Abuna. It's just an amazing value dram, and then they put £30 on it because they clearly realised that we knew it was the worst kept secret going.
Yeah.
But now for me, it's the 105, the Glenfarclas 105.
Yeah, amazing.
People now, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's still going for about 50 quid, isn't it? For
just about,
still bottle, yeah.
And I think the like Arran themselves, they're kind of new. They're nowhere near capacity yet either, are they? They've got a capacity. I can't remember the actual figure. Malt book will tell everybody, but they're not even at full capacity yet. They're just sort of slowly building up and building up and building up. But I don't really see any advertisements for them. You know, I see a couple of their bottles in shops every now and again, but they're not in your face like some of the big brands. And yet they've got this amazing whiskey sitting there being extremely good value that no one really knows about.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just seen Macallan Fine and Rare say the Abuna is still the old price where he is, where he or she is, I should say. Should I buy some? Yes. Send some to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you based? Where are you based? 'Cause I'm flying over tomorrow to.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I think the Abuna is great. It is a shame it's gone up in value, but you're right. The Glenfarclas, good substitute for it.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other questions from the guys on the chat?
Yeah, I mean, there was some stuff going through. I was going to mention it earlier. There was a good little to and froing going on between Welsh Toro and Eric Waite. And Welsh said that the majority of whiskey he buys is good, almost 100% actually. He said he could knowingly buy crap, but he doesn't. And then Eric said you should buy a turd once in a while to have a better appreciation of the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually agree with that entirely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I had a whiskey the other day that I really didn't enjoy. I won't say what it was, but I was just kind of like, oh yeah, right. Like a lot of the whiskeys I have are actually really nice. I take them for granted now. And when you have a turd, as he says,
was that one of the ones I sent you?
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
And,
I had to wait ages for the cat to fill that bottle.
You're doing well without swearing, which is I appreciate that. I don't mind the lewd talk.
Yeah. Imagine how many cats Hate Club have to employ.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I won't. Don't like to be negative.
And Rolf has asked what the price of the Glenfarclas 105 is, but it's well, I'll check to be fair on Amazon, but it's
about 50. Was that right?
It's about 50. Yeah, the Abanar batch numbers may vary. £65 on there at the moment, which is pretty good value still.
That's not bad. Yeah,
not bad. Yeah.
And let me check the Glenfarclas because it's always a nice gauge, isn't it? I guess. Yeah, £51 that is on Amazon at the moment.
Wow, that's amazing value and a really good Christmas dram. So yeah. Christmas coming up, get your Christmas presents. Glenfarclas 105, amazing.
Yeah, so a few people haven't had the price hit yet. I think it's they've announced it, but all the current stocks are going to sell for their normal prices, and then when the new batches come out, you're going to see a big like £30 increase, which is another sort of what is it, like 60%?
Yeah.
Increase. It's pretty high. So yeah, anybody who's asking if they should get it or not, if you can afford it and you're not going to have to spend it on your credit card or not pay your bills or whatever, then I definitely recommend picking it up while you can, because it's an absolutely incredible cask strength whiskey.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Macallan Fine and Rare says he's in Germany actually, so that's where I'm flying to get my my Abuna. And he says he as well. Sorry, I wasn't offensive when I said he or she. It's just your name was not gender specific. So.
Yeah, you don't want to assume. Yeah, we always call Macallan Fine and Rare the doc.
Oh right, okay.
Okay, fair.
But even still, non-gender specific. He's just saying there as well. He's just checked, and the batch 58 is for €52. The batch 60 is €54, which is it's about 1 for 1 for pounds at the moment, isn't it? So that's still incredible value, I think.
That's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't know how much you've got left of your Arran. I'm still got a little dribble left, but
I'm out.
You're out, are you?
Yeah. Is that good?
I've been incredibly enjoying that. It's a stunning whiskey, absolutely stunning whiskey. I really do need to cover more Arrans on the channel. I've only covered one, and I just don't get it. You know, I've got a big stack of stuff to cover, so I don't really buy much anymore.
I'd really recommend the Amarone cask finish. I think, you know, most whiskies are like other whiskies, but I think that one is one of the very few ones that is you know, I thought was really something different. Whether or not you like it's another matter, but you know, I thought it was an interesting one.
I agree. Yeah, try that one out. Really good.
Yeah, I do like those finishes. Well, we've headed over the hour. I don't know how you guys are feeling. You've run out of whiskey, so maybe it's time we wind up. We have too much material for you to edit through. But yeah, if you want to just do a quick little rundown for people who have joined us, let them know who you are again and where they can find you.
Yep, so we're This Is My Dram. We are a podcast, not a YouTube channel. And you can find our podcasts on all good podcasting apps and the crap ones as well, which is pretty much iTunes, Stitcher, Acast. You can go to our website as well, thisismydram.com, and listen to them there. And basically, they're all free. Everything is free, our podcasts, and we play music to go along with our whiskey. We're music geeks and whiskey geeks. And so, yeah, do check us out. Follow us on Twitter at This Is My Dram, because we love to speak to everyone as well, as we've loved speaking to these guys on the chat panel tonight. And yeah, it's been great being on, Vin. Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'll make sure I put some links in the description below. They won't be there just yet, but when this goes live on the replay, hopefully they'll be there. So if you're watching this live and you want to save yourself some clicking around if you didn't quite catch the name, then come back in a couple of hours or tomorrow or whatever, and there'll be some descriptions in the links and descriptions, and check these guys out, because they genuinely are one of my favourite podcasts for whiskies and music. In fact, very enjoyable. Like I said, proper radio show style podcast, very informative, and you guys are great, and you have good guests on as well. So,
what did you say? Sorry, good guests.
Yeah. You have good guests on as well.
Oh well, only the best guests, Vin.
Yeah, because what we've been doing today, if anyone didn't catch on with that, we've been doing a live stream for me, but they're gonna take the audio from this and edit that into their, maybe then, is it then your next one you're gonna do, or maybe one after if you've got one already pre-recorded?
Yeah, no, this will probably be the next one. So yeah, look out for it coming out in a week or two's time. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so make sure you do that, and then you can listen to this without all of the messing ups and the ums and the ahs. I'm sure Stu will have a good old time editing through that, because I've got my thing recording here, and he'll have a couple of megabytes of data to sift through.
It's my favorite. I love editing. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm slowly starting to enjoy it, but it's getting easier and easier the more I learn with all the shortcuts and things.
But thank you to everyone as well on the chat. I mean, some really nice comments, and everyone saying cheers, fellas. And Karen, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Aiden, who else have we got there? Kilted Moose, yeah.
Yeah, a quick late shout out to Prestige Liquids WW as well. He's just joined in. Bless.
A bit late.
Yeah. If you wait maybe 10-15 minutes, it'll be live on the replay. But don't watch it too long, because Roy at Aquavita will be live in about half an hour's time. And I'm sure a lot of these people will be there. So if you haven't yet checked out my other videos, check out my White Walker video. That's doing really well at the moment, but I implore you not to buy it like I did. But yeah, thanks very much to you guys for coming on. I've really enjoyed myself. Hopefully you have too.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been great.
Thank you.
No worries. I'll look forward to seeing the podcast out.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on more videos.
Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.